And also from a reward. Oh yeah,
that one's
okay, yeah. From a rewards perspective as well, there's some conditions on what you can provide as a reward. So you can't provide a financial return to investors. So it's treated as you're merchandising or you're selling things, as opposed to typically it's as opposed to receiving donations or offering loans or investment in your project. So.
And just from our perspective, we had to distinguish what was revenue and what was donation income. Yeah, and so that is where it got slightly tricky for us, because we had to split which source it was coming from and who needed receipts and things like that. Yeah.
And while neither of our platforms restrict ourselves to tax-deductible charities, if you are tax-deductible, you can issue a tax receipt, but of course minus the value of any real reward offered. So no different than often you see people selling tickets to a charity gala for $200 and they say, and you get a $100 tax receipt because the real cost of the gala is $100.
Another question? Yes.
So touching on financial products there, what do you guys think about what's happening in the States recently with the Jobs Act and how that's going to go through to possibly what's your crystal ball?
Did everyone hear that question okay?
So this is about opening up to equity crowdfunding or equity-based crowdfunding. I think it will change things again. I think it will be a game changer for, especially for businesses and enterprises that are looking to raise investment from a crowd of people. But it's completely different to what we do. I don't see platforms like ourselves ever evolving into an equity-based platform as such, because people have very different. They go into to support these projects for a different mentality. So I do think it will change things, and that's something that's been reviewed as part of the there's a discussion paper at the moment around this to open things up a little for Australians. Just due to the fact that other countries are starting to open up to allow much more people to invest into an enterprise. So,
just quickly on that, skeptic's not the right word. I think it's not going to be as big and as transformative as people think, actually. I think the bigger transformation has already happened, which is the ability to raise capital without selling equity. New ways to sell equity is going to be interesting and important, and new ways for the average person to invest are going to be really, a really interesting thing. But I think the true transformation has been what is already happening, which is that people can raise sometimes significant amounts of capital in the millions without losing any control, without sacrificing equity. I think it's going to be interesting to see who does avail themselves of equity-based crowdfunding, because I suspect it's not going to be as trendy or sexy as people think. If you have a sexy technology product, you're making a film, you're releasing an album, and you're a well-known artist, you'd much rather use Kickstarter or Pozible. You'd much rather raise money not selling equity and control than by doing so. Equally, if you're in a current position where you can raise investment, so you're a well-known technologist, a well-known entrepreneur, you'd much rather raise money in larger chunks from smaller, more sophisticated investors than end up with lots of unsophisticated investors on your books. So there's going to be some type of company in amongst all of that, and I suspect that the model of the person who will use it best will be your local butcher shop. A local business with a deep relationship with a community who trust and like them. The shop next door becomes vacant and they say, hey, we would love to double in size, but to do that we need to raise $200,000. Are you guys in? And everyone goes, we would love you to be twice as big, and also I trust you. We've been shopping with you for 10 years. You seem really solid and reputable. Here's $5,000. I think that's the kind of unsexy business that will probably do best from equity-based crowdfunding. I think the really sexy stuff's already happening in non-equity-based crowdfunding. The other thing to realise that the Jobs Act, while it allows new people to invest, it's not simple. It hasn't kind of made all this easy. It's a regulatory nightmare. It's actually that each person in the US can now invest equity up to $100,000 or 10% of their income, whichever is lower. That's aggregated across all platforms. So if you're running an equity-based platform, you need to keep track of what is the taxable income of every single person investing in your platform. How much have they so far invested this financial year on every other platform? Are they up to their cap? Like, it's just, we wouldn't want any part of it.